All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now getting into Sarah Zhang's The Last Children of Down Syndrome, published in The Atlantic in 2020. And I am just getting set up. My microphone is too far, so I'm fixing that up right now. Uh, I can tell the audio is working, the video is working. I think we're ready to go. Today, I don't actually have too much time this morning to take my usual liberties with just looking around for pre-reading materials, things that might help me get excited or find my focus when I'm reading this story, this essay, I mean. And even in terms of reading the 20-ish pages, 20, 23 pages or something like that, I don't think I'll have too much, what do you call that? Yabun in Korean is I won't have a lot of margin for error here. Margin for error is the wrong word, but I won't have a lot of slack is the word I was looking for. So I won't have a lot of slack just because I'm on a tight schedule. It's 6:30 a.m. and I have to get prepared for a second class after this. So excuse the sort of excuse me with when I sort of kind of push through at a more sort of normal reading pace, a more normal reading pace for me, which is, I have my thoughts and I make my decisions pretty quickly in real life reading. This is the YouTube version is a more slowed down version of it. So it'll be a little bit more, it'll be a little faster than usual, I think, today. Anyway, that's just my really long-winded disclaimer up front. And now, disclaimer outside. Disclaimer aside, I'm realizing that I'm not very... right now, my word choices are not the best right now. It's just not coming out very smoothly, but I'll work with it. It is 6:30. I just want to share this story live. And let me just get right into the pre-reading. So... here's what actually, let's start with what's on the screen. When I first heard about this last children of Down syndrome essay, it was in the introduction of this book, The Best American Science and Nature Writing of 2021, edited by Ed Yong. And he wrote a really great essay explaining what he thinks is science writing, is not science writing, or and the kinds of things that 2020 meant, and the kinds of writing that came out of 2020 that could be considered science writing, and how science writing may have its own particular role, I guess, in shedding some light on the world. That's a little different from other nonfiction writing that tends to be about the self, the human being, or even fiction writing, which tends to be about the human being. Science writing opens its eyes to the other, to the parrots, to the trees, to the earthworms, but also to, I guess, more topically, to people that we might not think about as often in fiction or nonfiction when we're thinking, or like in nonfiction, like when we're thinking about politics, or fiction, we're thinking about just like when the authors are kind of capturing their own experiences. In today's story, we'll be talking about what's happening with Down syndrome, and Sarah Zhang travels to Denmark. I'm just going to read right from the page, where almost universal screening, has dramatically reduced the number of children born with Down syndrome. Scientific progress is marching forward, and our attitude to disability and parenthood is going to be defined by it. We already are in the future where we are choosing what kinds of children to have. That is the reality as right now. The thing that I'm sort of the thing that gets me sort of excited about reading this particular story, besides just my general curiosity for learning about things that I don't really know a lot about, like Down syndrome, like prenatal screening, like Denmark, besides my sort of general curiosity, I think I just sort of trust. I've only read a couple stories from a couple essays from this collection, but I sort of just trust Ed Yong. Just having read his essay here at the introduction essay of this collection. So, if this was his perhaps his favorite piece. If this was perhaps his favorite piece, I feel like maybe it could be one of mine as well. That's the first little point that I can make about how I'm getting myself excited. I'll just share my computer screen to show a couple other resources as I find them. Let's go. I recall seeing, oops, I'm like dyslexic at the moment. Oh my God. I am all over the place. Anyway, Last Children Down Syndrome. I recall seeing some reviews like this, yes. But let me just jump into some of these right here. Oh, CBS Mainstream has published on this. Let me try Goodreads. I'm just kind of curious. Maybe this one had some mention in Goodreads. Okay, no. As you would expect, you wouldn't get really Goodreads reviews on essays that were published in magazines like The New Yorker or like the Atlantic or the New York Times, especially if they were published in the last 2 years, because it would just be too slow. Like it'd be too soon to really write a review for it, when on Goodreads people are mostly writing reviews for books. And the Best American Science and Nature Writing might have reviews, but not necessarily the individual pieces. So, but looking for reviews, I might be able to find somebody who was excited about this story and the kind of effects that this story had on them. I'm not looking for academic sort of summaries per se. I'm looking for more like, people considering the implications of this story for themselves, for society, and people having emotional connections with this book, with this story, with this essay. I keep saying story, I don't know why. It probably includes stories in this essay, but anyway, I want to see people with a genuine intellectual or emotional connection with this essay. That's what I'm looking for. So whenever I read something, the first thing I do is decide whether or not I want to read it. That's the thing that I don't think is taught in school. But you really just don't want to read the things that you're forced to read. You want to read the things that you want to read. And so how do you want to read something? And what I do to want to read things is just I get it from hearsay. I get recommendations, and then if I find something that I'm interested in online, then I read it. But what are the things that makes me interested? It might be because topically I'm interested in Down syndrome, but that's not actually me. I'm not somebody who's thinking about that all the time. I'm just somebody who wants to have some sort of better understanding of the world, generically speaking. And so I'm just looking for things like, was someone else also moved by this essay or inspired by this essay or changed in some way by this essay? Now I'm reading this interview with Sarah Zhang, and I'm noticing that this is sort of a deep dive behind the scenes look. Zhang tells the co-founder of this TON, the Open Notebook, how she found a fresh way to report on Down syndrome. But this is more about the how of the story, so I'm not going to get too much into this. Maybe though, if I look at, maybe if I look at some of the how, maybe I might find some things to be interested in, right? Like this right now, I'm automatically drawn to. the sensitive issue of Down syndrome and getting the people to talk to you about it enough that you can actually write an essay, you know, that's hard work. I'm gonna kind of jump around though. Seeing Karl emails so visibly upset, was it difficult for you to keep the interview going? So there were, who? Okay, so there's a moment of emotionally charged something happening in the story. So I'm kind of curious what that is as I get into the essay. She's including herself in the essay, so and then it got edited out. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Structuring is more about writing, so I'm gonna skip a little. Balancing about harsh statistics. Okay, I assume that many people reading this would immediately feel very strongly one way or the other. And here I think, you know, the thoughts that's coming to mind is, oh, right. With Down syndrome, or with, you know, with like prenatal screening, I'm sure on the one side there's people who are for perhaps religious reasons, not always necessarily the case, but they'd be like, you shouldn't decide who gets to live and who doesn't. So by screening the child and learning that they have Down syndrome, that doesn't mean you should abort the child. Right, because this covers abortion as well. Oh my God. Okay, now I'm realizing something that I didn't realize before starting this video. Right, because that's what happens with prenatal screening. At some point, like, you do the screening after the fetus is formed, so you would have to abort. So yes, you will get people who are very strongly against abortion on one side, and on the other side, the argument is, I'm starting to realize how this could be emotionally and politically charged, because on the other side, people would say something like, and I'm not going to necessarily represent their views very well, because I'm not, it's not something I think about on a daily basis, but like, why bring that suffering in to the world? Would that be the right thing to say? I'm not too sure, but something like that. Why bring the suffering into the world? Why bring that difficulty into this world of not being able to engage with other people and whatnot? So if you know in advance that there's going to be trouble, why bring that trouble? That's a good thing, to be able to not bring that in, right? So that would be the other side of the argument. And I know, I think I skimmed this particular, interview before, and I also know that Sarah Zhang specifically went to Denmark for this, because abortion is less that delicate of a subject than in America. So yeah, that's some background that kind of helps me frame like what I'm looking for as I read this essay. I'm trying to focus on the genetic screening, but the abortion is definitely in the background in terms of this issue. So the last children with Down syndrome means literally, we may no longer see children with Down syndrome in the future because of genetic screening and abortion together. Right. Only 18 were born. Yeah, wow. Okay. Is this the original essay? It kind of sound. This reads kind of like the original essay. Oh, that might be the original essay. I think it is the original essay. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna skip. Now, at this point, honestly, I've already framed my expectations for the story quite a bit, so I don't know if I can find anything else through pre-reading, but I'll just finish off some of these tabs that I've opened up already. So this CBS News article I think might be interesting because this might be a more simplified look at the issue. The CBS website though is formatted weird so that it's like coded weird, so it doesn't like it's not responsive. Bros, responsive design, please. Responsive design. I'm gonna still just kind of skim through. Right. 4 out of 5 opt for prenatal screening. I think in Korea, I think it would be very similar in Korea as well, where I live. We don't look at abortion as murder. I think in Korea that actually might be the opposite. Actually, now I'm not sure. Actually, I'm so unaware of Korean society. I actually don't know about this issue in Korea. So if you happen to know, guys, anybody who's viewing this, please let me know what it's like in your societies, in your countries. I'm going to get into it right now. I'm just thinking about some of this stuff here, but, you know, honestly, this is all a little more than I normally would do for pre-reading anyway, so I'm already excited enough to read it just based off of Ed Yong's recommendation and what I've learned through the interview. It's already framed kind of the issue for me, and even given me some sneak peeks into. Oh my God, kore. Okay, just I forgot to close the door. Well, those are my cats. 오구 고래. 재밌게 놀아. Anyway, let's get into the story. Let's get into the essay right now. And here we go. The last children of Down syndrome. We're getting started. Okay. Grete. I'm going to say Grete. Grete Falt Hansen is someone who answers questions about this. Sometimes disagreeing, that's a little crazy. That's a little intense, I mean. After their daughter was born, wow. They didn't love their daughter. A school teacher. She heads this Landsforeningen Down syndrome. Okay. Karl email. In 2004, it was the first country, or one of the first. More than 95%. So 2004 would be 17, 18 years ago now. So, oh, wow. Karl email is literally like right at that cusp. So he might be the last. He might literally be like one of the last in Denmark. Morton and Peter. Internally, though, people are feeling right. Only 18. Right. I read this earlier. Right. This organization itself, it's going to implode over time, just demographically. That's good. I mean, it's just informing people how things work in reality. Yeah, he can read. Yeah, he can. Yeah, he needed therapy when he was young. Yeah, he loves music. Yeah, he gets cranky. Some people even meet. Some people she never hears from again, so she's volunteering all her time like this. But of course, it's just the nature, right? Not everyone's going to be as invested. The canary in the coal mine for selective reproduction. Oh, that makes sense. It's because it's probably one of the first things to get screened since it was around for 18 years. Yeah, it would be the first. It would be the canary. Selective reproduction in utero. Aha. That's a good sentence, actually. And that's an enlightening sentence. It's morally complicated because it's the least severe. If we had a genetic condition that was obviously life threatening or life inhibiting, it wouldn't be as morally complicated because you're like, oh, clearly we shouldn't let that trouble afflict our own child and willingly bring that to pass. But Down syndrome is very compatible with life, even a long and happy life. Seeking of fundamental questions. Do you ever wonder about the families who end up choosing an abortion? Do you feel like you failed to prove that your life and your child's life is worth choosing this way anymore? But in the beginning, she did worry. What if they don't like my son? Wow. What a, yeah. How painful. Ah, yo. Okay. Hang on, I'm losing track. Grete, Karl, sister, station, Vordingborg. Okay, there we go. Mischievous and proud. Wow. Death to Down syndrome. That's intense. Oh, wow. Okay. Which felt perverse to even say. So he's aware there are people who don't want people like him to be born. Yes. Made him uniquely Karl email. But as a teenager, he became annoyed and embarrassed. He could tell he was different. He actually asked me if it was because of Down syndrome that sometimes he didn't understand things. He's made his peace with it. Okay, that's tough. Okay, it does feel normal, right? I mean, this is actually a really fair and calming sentence. I mean, I feel calmer with these two sentences here. Because it is what I mean. All kids go through this. It's just a little different what we're reacting to. But all kids do this. Hmm. The best and worst time. It has made children with Down syndrome able to flourish, yet we're also basically eliminating Down syndrome. Moral pioneers, wow. The power to decide what kind of life was worth bringing into the world. The health complications linked to Down syndrome, such as Alzheimer's, leukemia, and heart defects, those are clearly bad. But would we be missing a part of our humanity if we just removed all of those special needs and vulnerabilities? That's pretty broadly philosophical. I kind of wish we had a little, I don't know. I want to hear more about that. Huh, I just lost track again. I keep losing track. The first known prenatal test. Oh, that was in Copenhagen. Okay, so Copenhagen has a lot of history with this. Hemophilia. Okay, it's a really severe issue. Severe mental physical illness. Okay. In preventive eugenics. Today, the word eugenics evokes images that are specific and heinous. The racial hygiene of the Nazis, right? But eugenics was once a mainstream scientific pursuit, and they thought they were bettering humanity. Passed the sterilization law in 1929 because they were mentally retarded. Wow, the hard hitting words are coming right out. context of saving money. Even that language has changed. Now we're talking about to offer women a choice. Okay. It's this history of the sort of justifications is really interesting. I mean, it's super interesting because it's capturing like little snapshots of what our society values, or what at least this society values, over time, or has valued over time, I mean. And so, it's just capturing maybe all the different angles that people have been looking at this and thinking about this and wringing their hands about this for. So I think that's really interesting. That doctors automatically assume. And now we do not expect anything according to this doctor. Well, right now. Hopefully that's true. I guess. Well, if it's really about the choice of the mom, then it really should be true. It really must be true, because if it has to be that way, because otherwise you're really contradicting yourself by saying that you're about the woman's choice, but then defaulting them towards abortion. Wow, in 2009 there were only 7 who willingly chose. The times when the tests did not provide peace of mind, when they actually made people more anxious. Worst case scenarios. Right. So Down syndrome is just a single term, but actually it encompasses a wide variety of experiences. The uncertainty is too much. We're not really good as human beings with probabilities. We just want to know it won't be that bad. Otherwise, we assume it's going to be the worst. David Wasserman? I've seen this name before. It might have been for an SAT passage or something. I've seen this name before. Is it in this book? I don't think it's from this book. Sorry, I'm gonna do this because I'm actually it's not in this book. This is the only reference of Wasserman in this book. Anyway, I read something that quoted him recently. Oh, yes. Okay, now we're having some heft here. I'm hearing an argument um, who is critiquing, okay, uh, selective abortion, an argument that it has the effect of reducing an unborn child to one single aspect. We're making the whole life about this one thing, and we're making them judge based on this. It's not morally tenable. It's not that these people are trying to make perfect human beings. They're just really risk averse because they're thinking about the worst case scenario. Right, they have these images and then we plummet into disappointment. And then we get this list, a whole list of. Think about it this way: if you handed any parent a list of the possible things they would encounter, no one would even have a baby. Exactly. That's such a right argument, honestly. Having these lists, these like disclaimers, like a contract that you have to read, that's. Excuse me. Hmm. We're very thankful we didn't know because we had two twin boys when I got pregnant. And I really don't think we would have been okay. Let's take this challenge when we have these monkeys up in the currents. But you grow with the challenge. Hmm. There's a. You know what? I kind of understand that question a little better. It feels a little more not just humane, but it feels a little more human to just grow with the randomness of the genetic lottery with your child. If you have a child and that happens, don't don't reduce that child to some sort of statistic about what kinds of symptoms may arise, but just let it be and accept the child, accept your child, and grow with it. That does feel more human. I'm referring to that one question that I felt like needed a little bit more elaboration, or at least I wanted more elaboration. Don't remember where it is. I'm just trying to look for it real quick, but can't find it. Um, but yeah, I feel like I do feel like it's more human to just accept it and grow with it. How little we knew. Right, because you know so little, you're making your choice based on ignorance and fear, is basically the implication here. Nobody's normal. On the one hand, I saw the problems. On the other hand, he was perfect. Oh, what a nice sentence. It's it's poignant. It's complicated, right? He cannot speak. He fights. He bites. He never feels safe. Violence is not common. Her point, though, is not right. She wouldn't have chosen this life. Right. Right. And people moved on because it's a tough conversation to have. It's awkward. Of course, it's shameful. But you love a person that hits you, bites you. You have a husband that bites you. You can say goodbye. If you have a child that hits you, you can't do anything. It's your child. So this is showing the other reality is sometimes that's the problem with statistics, and the randomness is actually could be pretty terrible. You could get a pretty terrible hand. Hmm. Oh, during the intervening years, that's what happens. Okay. They got it from their mother. And this is why the syndrome is often, though not always linked, to the age of the mother. Okay. The age, because the longer you wait, I have Korean friends who are doing, who've been pregnant, who've gotten pregnant, have had children in the last couple of years, and they've a lot of them have talked about the prenatal screening and about the worries of having children too late, and I guess this must be one of them. This must be one of the real representative, the sort of like the sort of symbolic case. People are trying to avoid Down syndrome. Hmm. Right. It's the woman that really take the hit. Abortions. Right. Aborting for Down syndrome is stigmatized. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Because there's that moral. Huh. Right. Yeah, more Down syndrome definitely like aborting for Down syndrome definitely collides with certain views of like a humanistic view of our society. So it does create. I can imagine how it creates moral complications. ending was very different from ending an unwanted. Right. Huh. They wanted the pregnancy. Hmm. 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 But it feels like you're doing something wrong. She hadn't been able to find a couple willing to be in this documentary, and she wasn't ready to go out by herself. Wow, man, that's rough. Middle-class white women seemed especially fixated on the idea of selfishness. They had careers with birth control. Having them later, right? Because, right, if you voluntarily choose, right, you become judged as selfish, and that's interesting. It does not change the society. So honestly today my brain is a little fuzzy compared to previous readings, just because the time, I don't normally read at this time and whatnot. But I'm really appreciating the historical look, the societal look, the biological look. We're just getting such a like a refractory look at this issue on both sides of the issue. This is such a good and balanced and considered look at Down syndrome. Now we're even moving towards, when we've had skirmishes with the political issues, and now we're going right into the feminism here. Hmm. Hmm. Right. That's an interesting argument. And when fewer people are born, it makes it actually harder for the rest. Wow, that's also a complicated side, like additional compounding factor. Yeah, fewer services, fewer therapies, fewer resources, fewer community, less a smaller community. There's so many things that happen there. And then you're saying it's all because of choice, and so the choice argument does feel, it feels fraught with problems. Yeah. It invites judgment. When you have choice, you get guilt. To opt out of testing, now you become a person who opted out. I feel like opting out of testing, though, seems like the easy way out. Easy, actually, that has a negative connotation, but I feel like it's like the most straightforward solution. Let's all just not test anymore and just deal with it and take care of each other. But obviously, that's a little too hands holding, kumbaya sort of idealism. It's not going to be like that. Um, but man, there's a lot of issues here that you could avoid if you just didn't know. What kind of choice is this if what you hope is to not have to choose at all? other people's problems. The empathy gap. That's another compounding factor here. Selecting healthy embryos. Wow. Autism. Oh. Oh, nice. We're actually talking about potential solutions going forward. I'm actually, wow. Uh, PGT sperm banks. Oh, okay. These are the solutions. Have sued the sperm banks after discovering that their donor. Oh, that's complicated. Okay. Consumer fraud. We're consumers of sperm. Crazy. What is the Velvet Revolution? I forget. I'm gonna guess Russia, but I might be wrong. Velvet Revolution. Armenia. Czechoslovakia. Hang on, I'm confused. Czechoslovakia. Oh, I see. It turns people into products. It does feel a little weird. Yeah, those solutions feel a little uncomfortable for me. If testing were entirely abandoned, then we would have really horrible experiences here. Yeah, like Tay-Sachs. Having the baby uh, is now a failure. Hmm. Designer babies. The concept of counting chromosomes as a definitive indicator of truth. Oh my god, we were so misguided. XXXY, but it's not nearly so neat. It could be XY. Right. Hmm. The idea of Down syndrome might even. Hmm. Like one I met who can read and write and perform wicked juggling tricks with his Diablo. It's not just an extra chromosome. That doesn't define you. Oof. It was just response. What was she most proud of about her son that was not an achievement or milestone? The incident on the basketball court was the one that came to mind. It has to do with caring about another human being. Not grades or basketball trophies or college acceptance letters. Who have to be highly successful to get there. Who likely base part of their identity on their... Wow, what a crazy observation, but yes. This is the system giving parents the tools to decide. They're basically biasing the kids, the parents, to like focus on accomplishments, which is not really necessarily healthy. Hey Zia, what's up? What the heck? Mongoloid idiot Wasserman. That's another Wasserman. Is that the same Wasserman? I have no idea. Okay. Wow. It. Wow, that's so intense. Wasserman volunteered. Oh, the smells. They were uncared for. She took Michael home. He was 8. Then he went to school for... Is this the Michael Wasserman we're talking about earlier? Oh my god, that sounds horrible. 1990. If now 1990 seems so like recent. Why do we need to point to achievements to focus on Down? So this is the philosophical shift in this story. When I'd asked Grete what it was like to open up her life to parents, I suppose I was asking what it's like to open up her life to the judgment of parents. She worried at first that people might not like her son. How difficult the choice can be. It's almost impossible, she said. Therefore, I don't judge them. Greta's hair and smiled sheepishly to remind us that he was still there. Wow, what a... that's such a good ending. Oh, that's such a good ending. You know, we meet Karl at the beginning. You know, we feel his ups and downs. He gets upset. And at the very end, and then in the middle, we have this journey through all of the complications. So complicated, this issue. And then we come right back to Karl, and we see him just tugging on his mom's hair. Ah, what an ending, man. I had to read this at more of a regular pace, just because I am now about to be late for my first class of the day, you know, with the prep and everything. But God, that was... I kind of wish I had a little more time to just slow down and read that, especially the second half of that essay. That was so good. Today, that'll be it for me. This was The Last Children of Down Syndrome, written by Sarah Zhang, published in The Atlantic. I found this essay through the Best American Science and Nature Writing 2021 in my Kindle. If you've read this story, if you have thoughts about this essay, about the matters that are covered in the essay, Down syndrome, abortion, eugenics, selective reproduction, designer babies, disabilities, and our philosophical approach to disabilities in our society, just let me know what you think. That was such a good essay to read with you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.